Good morning, Columbia, and welcome to the show to be named later here on Mizzou basketball after their victory over Ole Miss last night. Plus, Eli Lederman will join us in the Columbia Missourian to break down all the Mizzou sports, in addition to Signing Day, National Signing Day, occurring for the second time, I guess, this year today. Basketball, Mizzou last night picking up a victory in Oxford over Ole Miss, their third straight win. When we focus on this Mizzou game, it was a 75-69 victory, a big game out of Cassius Robertson once again. He had 27 points. He knocked down 5 3-pointers. Jonte Porter had a huge game off the bench from Missouri. He had 18 points, 13.
And, when you look at this Tiger team, last night, Jordan Barnett had an awful night from the field, couldn't find the stroke there for a long time, and Tillman didn't have any fouls in the first half, but was in foul trouble for most of the second half. And, the most interesting stat on the Cassius Robertson scoring 27 points is his ability to play minutes. He played 39 out of the possible 40 minutes last night. He's on the floor all the time for the Mizzou Tigers, and that's just something that this team really needs.
I think we saw a much, much healthier, in my opinion, diet of pick and rolls, and Cassius Robertson was able to score off them, was able to get a lot of space against one of the lower talented level teams in the SEC. But if Missouri can establish that moving forward, especially in Saturday's game against Mississippi State, who's got some big, lengthy guards, that will go a long way towards a victory.
Bracketology that came out on Monday had Mizzou as a 10 seed with a 7 seed matchup against Michigan, and then a possible 2nd seed matchup in the second round with their old friend Kansas.
On the show to be named later, we have Eli Lederman from the Columbia Missourian joining us this morning. Eli, thanks so much for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So we'll go ahead and get right into it. Obviously today, National Signing Day. A lot of storylines are regarding recruiting today, both football and basketball. You said you had some insight and some headlines regarding that situation. What can you tell us on the Missouri front? Who are kind of the main guys they're pursuing? What are some signing day storylines that you're on top of?
Well, the funny thing is that this signing day is not going to look like anyone in the past. In the past it was a big ESPN event, and it still will be, don't worry. But with the early signing period in December, about 75% of the recruits in the nation have already made their commitments and signed with their schools. So today, at least numbers-wise, is going to be more subdued. And that's going to be exactly the same around the country as it is in Columbia. Missouri has about, I would say, 24 of their commits already either signed or pledged, but 2 of the big names to kind of watch for. The first is at 9:30. Memphis running back Tyler Beatty is making his decision. He had originally committed to Memphis in the summer, but Missouri came in late and looks to be a pretty serious player for him. And then the other one that everyone's looking at, of course, is Michael Thompson, the defensive tackle out of Parkway North in St. Louis, deciding between Missouri and Oklahoma. It looks like you might be leaning toward Oklahoma, but that would be a huge get for the Tigers.
Look at this recruiting class. Barry Odom seemed to hit a lot of positions of need coming into the season. He hit the inside linebacker position. Cale Garrett and Terez Hall were amazing this year, but definitely always want to improve depth. And he also had a lot of wide receivers and corners. Who's one of your favorite prospects that Barry Odom was able to land?
I'm really excited about Cam Scott, freshman receiver. And this year, as with last year and in the past, the young receivers are going to get a shot. They're not going to have Jamon Moore. Of course, you're going to have Emmanuel Hall, Josh Johnson, a couple other guys returning. But the freshmen who can perform are going to get a shot. And I think Cam Scott, from everything I heard, has the ability to step right in and join in on the offense and become a weapon for Drew Lock.
When we look at the addition of Derek Dooley as offensive coordinator, do you think Mizzou is recruiting differently, sort of with their offensive talent under Dooley than they were under Josh Heupel?
It's hard to say so far, only because he stepped in kind of in the middle of this recruiting class. But what he brings with him is a totally different base, a recruiting base than they've had in the past, and really is maybe some more name recognition. As great as Josh Heupel was, and great for him that he's got this job now at UCF, he was not a huge name and did not have the same recruiting base that Dooley does. So I think really we'll see the result and the impact of having him both next year and in recruiting classes.
General thoughts on the Super Bowl, Chase? Your predictions seem to turn out to be a bit more correct than what me and Garrett had. You even had Danny Amendola throwing a pass, and you had the Eagles winning that game. So what were your thoughts besides the fact that you seemed to figure out what was going on before it happened?
Well, first of all, thank you very much. I know I kind of killed the Super Bowl with our predictions and everything, except for the national anthem. I killed the Danny Amendola pass. I called that right off the bat. But, It was an interesting Super Bowl. A lot of teams, when they get to the Super Bowl, it's normally, not a high-scoring game, other than the last year. It's normally a low-scoring game, and both of these offenses just seem to roll. And, Nick Foles played an absolutely amazing game. Even his interception, I don't even believe it was on him. He threw a jump ball to Alshon Jeffrey, just happened to bat right into one of the Patriots' hands. And, it was awesome to see, Nick Foles in the city of Philadelphia finally get a first Super Bowl.
I agree. I thought Peterson did an excellent job in that game. He made a lot of risky decisions going for it on a fourth down, going for two. The trick play on fourth down with Trey Burton throwing it to Nick Foles. If some of those plays don't work out, I think a lot of people are sitting there saying, what was Doug Peterson doing?
If you don't have any input on the team, if you don't follow it normally, then I really don't care if you watch or not, and I don't really care about your opinion. But now if you're a diehard, Duke or Carolina basketball fan, and you watch this game, you'll understand how nerve-wracking, Duke and North Carolina is for a full 40-minute game.
I think it's fair for Missouri fans to be obsessive over the situation on Twitter. And I think that this general infatuation with Michael Porter Jr. is unhealthy from all aspects. Because my big thing is this Missouri team is 16-8. This time last year, they were barely reaching 6 wins. Okay, that's such an improvement, and there's so much excitement regarding this basketball team that's completely distinguished from Michael Porter Jr., who's not playing, that I feel like he's stealing the headlines.